How y'all doing today? Lovely, I hope. I've been wanting to make this video for at least 5 years now. Always waiting for the perfect time, not to be distracted, not to be busy. That shit don't come. You just gotta sit down, you just gotta do it. Talk myself out of it, obviously, 1,000 times. Took 5 years. But, um, this is a conversation that hopefully will inspire and just help you rack your brain. You ain't gotta believe what I believe. Uh, you know, I spent a lot of time in prison. I've been out for 5 years now, uh, and I did a lot of time in isolation in there. I was supposed to do 7 years on a 10-year sentence. Um, I did 14, so you do the math. Got in a little trouble in there, got a little extra time. Did a lot of fucking. All right, well, you're gonna have to excuse me for my language here and there. I was born in the sewer, so you know, pretty much I've been in them my entire life. So my mouth reflects that from time to time. It is what it is. You don't like it, it's your chance to kick rocks. But I promise you, it's worth sitting for. I think I've inspired a lot of people over the years by my beliefs and my understandings. It's inspired me, and that's where I'm coming from. So, with that being said, like I said, I got a dark history. I got a dark background. Parents dying when I'm younger, in and out of the system. I'm 41 with 22 years of time under my belt. Uh, none of this knowledge and understanding and wisdom that I'm about to break down. One, do I take credit for because I feel like it was blessed upon me by a higher power, and you can take it for whatever you want, but uh, that's the way I choose to look at it. And anyway, 9 times out of 10, every one of these epiphanies and stuff that usually happen after times of great sacrifice which will all come into my philosophy later. It's one of the reasons I'm mentioning it now. But anyway, I've been waiting for that perfect time and all that, to kind of show itself, and that perfect time don't ever come out here. And I guess that's all right because right now is not good for me. So I need to inspire myself as much as I need to inspire anybody else. So reminding myself of the truth and getting myself geeked back up about it. It helped bring me out the funk too. I mean, my arm's in a cast right now. I just had surgery. I'm gonna be out of the game for at least 6 months or longer. I got an old lady and kids who depend on me. Uh, and me and the missus, we're going through some things right now, which ain't nothing new. That's why we got separate houses. Hers is down the street, not too far from me, so I can still see the kids and her when uh, me and her get along. But anyway, um, it's cold as hell outside. We've hit a cold front, you know, one of the worst ones in years here in Indiana, and because of that, my damn water froze up. Um, even though I had it running. Uh, I ain't gonna keep up with my side shit. That's not what I'm intending to do. I'm just showing you where I'm coming from right now. Why I'm saying I need a little boost and a little pick me up too. And this, what I'm talking about, man, it's inspired people out of some dark assholes, myself included, way worse than right now. You know what I mean? Way worse. So that's what I'm attempting to do. And if I get distracted from time to time, sorry about that. If I get long winded, if I get off into a different part, I always try to curve and find my way back. But anyway, long story short, you know, I believe we all look for something to be inspired by at the end of the day, you know, and I find inspiration in a lot of things, my animals included, which you'll see pop their head in and out every now and then. Uh, My kids for sure. It's the only thing that's kept me out this long. It's the longest stretch I've ever had in my life. 5 years. Shit, I never thought I'd make it this long. Shit, at one time I didn't think I'd get back out. I didn't have nothing out here. I was fucking. All my identity was in there. I was a straight convict. You know, I didn't have nothing out here. Most of my people had died and gone. You know, the ones that messed with me. Uh, but I am out here, and as bad as I'm doing good. I still got kids. I still got a woman that talks to me, whether we get along all the time or not. I got my own house. Uh, you know, I got things, two beautiful ass boys, two stepkids that ain't mine, but you know, all them things I'm thankful for. Um, in these tough times, man, we all get through them. We all get through them. You just gotta choose to. You know what I mean? That hard shit is there to test you. It ain't to, you know, a smart motherfucker don't drive along, see an obstacle in the road, and just choose to sit there and fucking die. You know what I mean? Uh, they don't look at it as the end of the road. They look at it as, okay, there's an obstacle, and it's gonna slow me down, but it ain't gonna keep me from reaching my destination. I just gotta figure out, you know, how to get around this shit or move it out the way or whatever. And that's, you know, that's what these difficult fucking times are about. Um, you know, they're to inspire fucking growth. I mean, that's what we're here for, y'all. This shit ain't no game. This ain't just for us to enjoy ourselves. Yeah, everything down here is God's creation. Uh, but it's all to be enjoyed in moderation. You know what I mean? Took me some years to learn that. Hence, a lot of the time I did. But all that being said, man, uh, you know, when you beg for it, when you reach for it, when you scream for it, when you choose to fight instead of sit down and die or boo-hoo or cry for yourself or expect motherfuckers to cry for you or expect motherfuckers to fucking, you know, always be there to do shit for you or pick you up. You gotta pick yourself up sometimes, man. And, you know, gotta give you the inspiration you need. Hopefully this is it. So without further ado, you know, I did a lot of whole time in there. I did crazy time. I didn't do your sitting back waiting. I rode out. I rode. I didn't always ride with a crew, but I always rode. Uh, and I hustled, and you know what I mean? I went all in. You know, I had a lot of death when I was younger, so, uh, you know, I always took that as a sign that shit, I probably was going to die young too, and I might as well get it out of my system while I could. If God permitted I live that long, and, uh, you know, at the very least, shit, enjoy shit while I could, because it didn't feel like it was gonna be long winded, man. Not with the way everything started. So that being said, all the whole time and shit I did in there, I did a lot of studying, I did a lot of soul searching, I did a lot of fucking, you know, begging for answers and understanding. I did a lot of fasting and different things, man. Um, it's like a self sacrifice, you know, to God for understanding, knowledge, wisdom, so on and so forth. Answers, man. Period. Motivation, inspiration. Sure, I repeat a couple words somewhere, whatever. Sue me, motherfucker. Anyway, uh, so I've come to a whole understanding of God, and I'm gonna break it down before I get too goddamn long-winded and keep getting stuck in bullshit and stutter stepping. All right, I believe that the closest thing there ever was to one God, um, was in the early days, was before anything else existed. And I think it's been called a whole lot of different things over the years. Um, A lot of people talk about one God. They got a vaguely different understanding than me, I think, or at least it's, they got a different way of explaining it. You know what I mean? But the way that makes sense to me is this, and even science, they're all talking about the same shit. Science calls it a Big Bang. Let's go with that for a second. I'll call it a Big Bang. My only difference is I say it was a conscious Big Bang. What are we all? What are we? At the end of the day, what is everything you see around you? See around me? What's it all made of? Atoms, which breaks down to what? Positive and negative energy. Electrons and neutrons. Okay? Uh, everybody gives God credit for being good, but not for the bad. If God created everything, that means he created the bad too. It didn't come from a different source. It come from him. Even if you want to go with the Bible's version of it, and there's a lot of other religions that kind of got variations of the same thing, and there was this deity that swerved off and brought havoc and evil and blah 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 blah. Either way, that deity was still of God. That deity was still created by God. That deity, you know what I mean? That's still a piece of God that ended up being bad. It still come from God. So give him credit for both. This is my thing. This is what I believe. I believe that God was a perfect balance of good and bad. He was an all-powerful energy. He used to exist as a perfect, all-powerful energy, a perfect being. I believe this. You can call it a Big Bang. I think it was a conscious Big Bang. Okay? One of the things that all the big gods have in common, and I've studied a lot of this stuff, and through that study and through self-sacrifice and all these other things and fasting and different things and prayer and just, I've come to the conclusion, man, that God, okay, what all the gods have in common, gods, deities, higher beings, whatever you want to call them, what they all had in common, all the ones that we know their names that ring throughout history, Jesus, Buddha, Odin, they all sacrificed themselves. They all went about the same way of attaining knowledge and understanding and wisdom. And damn near every one of them, they were gods or deities of sacrifice. Odin, pierced himself and stuck himself to the world tree with a spear and hung there for 9 days and 9 nights to obtain the knowledge and the wisdom of the runes, the Elder Futhark. Jesus hung on the cross, to sacrifice himself for our sins. Buddha was, came from, wealth and abundance and still wasn't happy. Still had to go out into the world and do all these different things and make all these sacrifices, including sacrificing all that abundance and wealth, because he wasn't satisfied. Just like a lot of rich people around here these days ain't satisfied. Something I learned while I was in prison was I was around a lot of people that were doing life sentences. I was around people in there that they weren't never getting out of the hole, let alone prison. And some of them, they had a peace about them, and they were truly at peace, or so it seemed to me. And it didn't come easy. They found it through years of self-study and just coming to terms with shit, because they had no choice to in there. That's all you got is time to sit and think and reflect and come to terms with shit, or let it eat you up, chew you up, and spit you out. Well, I've met a lot of guys in there, man, that, you know, to anybody else, it don't look like they got anything to look forward to, but they're so at fucking peace. And there's motherfuckers out here who are rich, and they're not. Nowhere near close to being as happy as some of these guys I met in there, man. Um, and that's because it starts here, and it starts here, and that's it, and that's where God exists in all of us, man. But I mean, outside of us too. See, our ancestors weren't talking about going off of faith. You know what I mean? You know, I believe in all the religions. Buddha said, and I'll take little pieces of all these different religions because I think there's knowledge and wisdom to be found in every one of them. I think it was God speaking through all of these people, and or mystics or beings or deities or gods or whatever you want to refer to them. I believe they were all pretty much mystics. They were all tapped in and tuned in to God and to a higher power and knowledge and understanding, and they let God speak through them as a result of that. But I don't necessarily believe. I believe they were God in the sense that we're all of God. When Jesus said, God made me in his image, I don't think he was just talking about uh, himself. He wasn't just saying he was the son of God. He said we all are. We're all sons and daughters of God. We're all of God, period. God made me in his image. What is image? Image uh, is a derivative of imagination. I imagined it to be, and so it was. We're all made in God's image. He imagined us, and so we was. So every fucking thing you see around, including my potty mouth, it's of God too. uh, so anyway, um, I think we're all speaking of the same shit. It's just all about how you interpret it. And too many people take too much shit literal, from these old transcripts and stuff. And I don't think they're meant to be taken literal. First of all, they're interpretations. Half of them wasn't wrote in fucking English initially. You know what I mean? They've been fucking deciphered, and with that comes human error. With that comes interpretation. You know what I mean? So it's what it means to you. And if it inspires you, cool. If it inspires you, then it's doing what it was supposed to do. But anyway, with that being said, I believe in the early days there was an all-powerful being. And the only difference between him and us is he's a perfect balance between good and bad. And he either had too much whole time, like myself, and had time to reflect because it was just him. And there was parts of himself that he didn't like or that it didn't like. You call it whatever you want. You know what I mean? Don't crucify me because of how I'm speaking. But anyway, I think there was parts of himself he either didn't like or just got bored and started imagining stuff, and it started coming to be, or had parts of himself that he didn't necessarily like and wanted to break it all down in order to fix them pieces, in order to change things about himself, or who knows. But I do believe that God was a conscious being. God was a perfect balance of good and bad. We're all made of energy. Uh, Atoms, which is electrons and neutrons, positive and negative energy. Positive and negative energy. Okay? They feed off each other. They cause motion. They cause life. Alright. So God sacrificed himself in order to make all life as we know it. He sacrificed himself. You call it, the scientists even say the same thing. They just call it a Big Bang. Okay? But it was a conscious Big Bang, I believe. He sacrificed himself in order to make everything. Well, now this is the thing. If I have a battery and I tap that battery, okay, is any charge after that first charge going to be as strong as the first charge? No. The more I tap that battery, the weaker it's going to get. So if you have a Big Bang, if you have a dispersal of energy, and it goes out into the cosmos, and it makes everything we know of and so much more that we don't, of course, in the early days, the life forms that come out of that were probably a hell of a lot more powerful than what we are right now. Life energy has been reincarnated over and over and over and over and over and redispersed over and over and over and over. And source has gotten harder to find. It's gotten weaker. I think. I believe anyway. And so anyway, I believe this. There was a Big Bang. There was dispersal of energy. That energy made some pretty powerful fucking beings in the early days. Hence all of these other gods. Hence the angels. Hence all these other deities and stuff you hear from all these other religions, man. Our ancestors were not stupid. Our ancestors were not talking about going off of faith. Our ancestors were talking about hearing God and experiencing God all the time. The only thing is they were closer to nature, so they were less distracted than we are nowadays. And they were more tapped. I mean, like, you know, life and death was so much realer to them. The elements and all that shit was breathing down their necks at all times. Not to mention, you know, fucking saber-toothed tigers and grizzly bears and fucking everything else. Nature, man, period. Well, I don't know how many of us was really around there in the saber-toothed tigers, but I'll think a few. So anyway, you know, so I just feel like they were more tuned in. They knew how to listen better. And they weren't talking about going off of faith. They were talking about God talking to them all the time. He just wasn't. Some of them did talk about him, literally speaking. And there's still people to this day that say they hear the voice of God. And I believe I have. I believe he speaks through me sometimes, man. And, you know, I don't take credit. When I'm inspiring, when I'm geeking people, I don't take credit for that. That's when I feel like God's speaking through me, man. Let's hope this is one of them times. But anyway, I think these powerful beings, they came to be through this dispersal of energy in the early days. And it's not that hard to conceive that, okay, we can play God right now with some sperm and a couple eggs in a petri dish and so on and so forth. So you ain't going to tell me if there were some more powerful beings at one time that there wasn't one or two of them that figured out how to create shit. And I think that's what happened. I think, you know, one of them made man. And then bragged about their creation. So then another one duplicated the process, maybe tweaked it a little bit, and then was like, well, look, I did it too. Mine's better. And the first one was like, okay, well, let's give them swords. Let's see who's better. And they fought. And they fought over their guys. And they fought over their size. And a lot of people died during them fights. And that fight reproduced itself over and over again. And maybe there was a few different variations of people. You know, hence the different, you know, races and shit like that really don't fucking matter. You know, other than, I don't know, I think there's nuggets of wisdom in every single one of the old cultures and religions, and you just have to look for them. But I think it's stupid to blind yourself or deafen yourself to knowledge and wisdom just because somebody is speaking from a slightly different perspective than you, because most of these religions are talking about the same damn thing. It sounds like. I mean, they're all pretty much saying the same shit. They're just calling their God by different names. But my thing is this: if there's one creator, which is a pretty popular belief nowadays by a few different major religions, but if there's one creator, then it doesn't matter what the fuck I call him, because there ain't gonna be nobody else listening. It's gonna be the only thing that hears me. So we all get caught up on bullshit, man. We really do. We need to take more time to, get to know each other and dude, I've been in a place my entire fucking life, for the most part, that it doesn't really preach that. It preaches division, man. And, you're on this side, you're on that side, blah, blah, blah. And you ride with these motherfuckers, I ride with these cats, and da-da-da, and so on and so forth. But, at the end of the day, and what I ended up realizing towards the end, man, is that especially in that kind of environment, you only have so many good people. And out here nowadays with, so many self-involved people with all these different habits and different things, man, that monkey on their back sometimes, you can't trust a lot of people. So when you find a good one, man, treat them good. Feed them, and they'll feed you. A good person will. A good person, man, if you ain't got to say shit, if you help them out, you could tell them it don't matter all you want. Sometime down the road, they're going to help you because they're going to feel like they owe you. And it's a good way to go about shit anyway, because then we all stay feeding each other. We all stay taking care of each other. And, that's being godly. But back to the philosophy of my beliefs. All right. So, like I said, all the big ones, all the big figures, and I'll get back to the breaking down the fundamentals, because I got a little part I do want to put in there, back to the sacrifice thing. I believe that Buddha, Jesus, Odin, all these guys that sacrifice, deities, whatever the hell you want to call them, they all figures of inspiration. They all were emulating that first sacrifice that God made, when he sacrificed himself in order to make all other life as we know it and as we see it. And all of us, there's a reason they all stick out to us, because on a subconscious level, we realize this shit. I believe. I truly believe that. So we look up to that sacrifice, but what we're supposed to be doing, we're supposed to be emulating it. We're supposed to be sacrificing ourselves also. Sacrificing our comfortabilities so our families can be comfortable, so our friends can be comfortable, so other people, neighbors and stuff, can be comfortable, as long as we're all fighting the same fight. And it's not supposed to be about us at the end of the day. When we're kids, it kind of is. While we're figuring things out, okay, it's about us then. But once you hit a certain age, it's not supposed to be about you no more, man. It's supposed to be about, sacrificing yourself, even to yourself at the very least, if you ain't got nobody else, sacrificing yourself to yourself in order for greater knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And but anyway, I just wanted to finish that part off on the sacrifice thing, because that's what I was getting at earlier, and I'll get distracted. I'll go back and forth, so bear with me. But anyway, so you had the first sacrifice, and then you had these beings, and then they made beings. They made humans. This is what I believe. And a couple different variations. They gave us swords. We fight each other. Da 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 da. And this is the thing, that ain't speculation. That's in the damn history books. It is. All the ancient fucking religions and myths and history and shit that was passed down from our people, they was all involved in battles over their gods. And whether or not that was really initiated by beings, which, I mean, according to a lot of the lores, it was. And once again, sacrifice comes into play. And I think our ancestors being a little more in touch, with God and less distracted by all the shit we got nowadays, I think they understood it. And that's why they were so willing to do it. And that's why so many of us ain't. And then, I think all the gods, as the years went by and more of us shed each other's blood, in the name of our gods, in the name of, our deities and, higher understanding, I think at some point, some of them deities that were a little bit more in touch and a little bit more, starting to understand, or maybe had more God in them. And because of that, had more understanding at some point and realized we can't let this shit go on like this. We need to step back. We've taught them how to live. We've taught them how to survive. Now it's time to step back and let it unfold how it's going to unfold. And I believe they did that. And I believe that's, pretty much where we are now. And the thing is, the more you study all the ancient religions and stuff, man, the more you'll see. Okay, I will say this. I don't try to shit on any religion, period. Any of them. I think they all got certain knowledge and wisdom in them. They all got little nuggets. And, Buddha said that, religions were all there for a reason. The way I understood it and what I took from what he said, basically, in my interpretation, or, whatever, what I remember, is pretty much the equivalent of the same way this one teacher gets through to these 50 kids over here. They may not get through to these other 10 kids over here, but they still deserve to learn. They just learn in a slightly different way than how this teacher teaches. It doesn't make them a bad teacher. It just ain't the teacher for these ones. Okay? But that ain't to say there ain't one out there, and that's what religion is for. It's like, we're all on different journeys. We're all learning slightly different things, man. And which ties into some other stuff that I believe, reincarnation and things like that. I believe we go through this over and over and over in order to learn things. And, I have some reasons for believing this. And if I end up making other videos or get any kind of feedback or anything, I'll go into explaining some of that later on down the road too. But anyway, what's up, Odie? Get off camera, bud. All right, so that's my dog. But so you got these different teachers that get through in different ways, and that's what the different religions are for. Different prophets, different, whatever you want to call them. It doesn't matter. So that being said, though, all of them, all of them have nuggets of wisdom, man. I've studied a lot of them. I can't say I've studied all of them through and through. But the ones that I have, I've found nuggets of wisdom and things that I could take away from every one of them. And, meditation, fasting. There's certain shit that's been corrupted, though, I believe. And I think some of the churches have stolen, things and then used them. They knew they were powerful and they used them in their own way to control people. Such as fucking holy water. You know what I mean? What makes the water holy? It doesn't need to be a damn priest praying over it. If you believe in God enough and you ask him to make that water holy, then it's holy. As long as you believe it's cleansing you, then it's cleansing you. But that's part of the thing too, and it's part of what kept our ancestors in tune with God is like, they had these routines and everything that revolved around God, man, and you can still do that to this day. When you take a shower, pray to God, ask him for that water to be holy, ask him for that water to, cleanse your body and your mind of any dark energy or thoughts, and to rejuvenate you, to reboot you for that day. Start your day with that routine. Okay, the same way the Catholic churches and shit talk about, this cracker is of the body of Christ. This wine is, the blood. Technically, there ain't no way you can get around it. They're not wrong. And it's not that crazy. If you believe that Jesus was God, I don't necessarily say that, but I will say this. If I eat a cracker, okay, that is from the body of God in my mind, because everything's energy. Everything is God. God sacrificed himself in order to make everything else. By taking this into us in any way, shape, or form, be it knowledge, be it food, be it water, it's all of God. It's all of God's body. It's all of God's sacrifice. And if you believe it like that, and you think of it like that, and you ritualize it like that, when you eat, you visualize that being God's energy going back into you and geeking you up and coming back out in the form of inspiration and strength to go do whatever you got to do throughout the day, and so on and so forth, then that's what it'll be. You don't need no church to do all this extra shit. That's just giving power to the churches that, I mean, if that's the only way you can get it and you can't find that strength in yourself, then I guess it's there like that for a reason too. But I don't think you need a church to find God. I do think that we need to quiet our egos down. We do need to realize that, inspiration and creativity and all that shit, that comes from God, man. That's just us continuing. Okay, God gave us all the gifts that we give him credit for. Okay, what do we give God? What's the biggest thing we give God credit for? Hello? Creation, right? Creating us, creating animals, creating anything you find beauty in. The mountains, fucking landscapes, the earth, the fucking stars, the moon. Creation. Okay, we find that so awe-inspiring in the concept of God. However, we got the ability to do the same goddamn thing. We can have kids. That's us creating. We can make something out of next to nothing. That's creating. But do we honor this all the time? Do we honor this gift? You know, God passed that down on to us. And a lot of us don't even take care of our fucking, you know, of our, we consider our kids a fucking burden. We consider our fucking, you know what I mean? We're not honoring. I mean, it doesn't make sense because we give him so much credit for it. But we have the ability to do the same thing. So I think this, we're supposed to sacrifice as much as possible. We're supposed to pay homage to his sacrifice of himself by sacrificing ourselves for the better of others and everything around us, not just others, because it's all created by him, the fucking earth, everything. And we ain't even respecting that. We're tearing this earth to shit and we're not giving much back. And it's not getting better. And I'm not saying it's going to get any worse. And I don't think you're supposed to pay attention to the doom and the gloom. And how you going to make it better is by honoring his fucking creation, man. By continuing to create ourselves and then respecting that creation. By nurturing it and helping it grow. The earth, everything. So it's around for our kids, for everybody else to enjoy. If we really fucking honor his fucking creation, we'll quit destroying it. And we'll start taking better care of it. And that definitely means our children. And passing this knowledge and this understanding down to them. Let's start teaching them shit that matters. Start teaching them these same philosophies, man. See, so many people are afraid of death. And, which is stupid for obvious fucking reasons. We're all destined to fucking die. But this is the thing. We got immortality at our fucking fingertips, every single one of us. We can be immortal. We are immortal, one, by creating, by leaving things behind that we don't put our energy into either literally creating from nothing or next to nothing, or just put our energy into to where we're going to be remembered when we're gone. Or by having children. And by teaching, not just having them, but teaching them how to be better human beings. Teaching them how to honor God by understanding that he's in all things. The only thing that separates anything around us is our egos. It's all made up of the same shit. The only thing that separates it is the level of vibration. And, you know, the lack of certain senses and things like that. But God's around us, man. And he's speaking all the time. You just got to learn how to listen. Quiet this. And then listen. Forget this. And then pay attention and listen. And you'll start believing. After enough time, you will. Okay. And there's a lot of ways to find, this understanding yourself and this inspiration yourself. And, one of the biggest things that I've learned, one of the biggest weapons that I've learned, man, or tools, whatever the hell you want to call it, is fasting. I know not everybody, but a lot of people have been locked up. And anybody who's been locked up, one thing they know is in there, people find God. And you take that for what it's worth, but I felt it in there, man. I felt it through people. I felt God express himself through people. I felt the fucking energy get thick in the air where you can cut it with a knife. Maybe take a bite of it with a fork. uh, but no, I have. And I know every one of y'all has been in there. Most of y'all probably have too, if you was paying attention. Now, why you think that is? There's a lot of answers you can come up with. You know, one of them, when we're at our bottom, when we're at our lowest, gotta be there to inspire. Um, any number of things, man. Or, just you want to get even more basic with it. Because, well, we find God when we're locked up because, that's when we're in our time of need. So we're going to ask Him to get us out of trouble because we ain't got nothing else to turn to. And that's true sometimes too. That was true of me when I was younger. And, God, please get me out of this. Please don't let this cop find me hiding back here. You know what I mean? Fucking, I swear, I promise, I'll dedicate my life to you. Just get me out of this jam. And the minute that cop went by, I was thankful. Never forget my oath 10 minutes later. A lot of us do that shit. We believe when we're in trouble. But I don't think that's why God's presence is so strong in there. I don't think that's why God's presence is so strong on a battlefield of any fucking kind, man. Be it literal or otherwise. And yeah, I ain't no decorated soldier. I ain't never went across Afghanistan or Vietnam or none of them places. But I've been in some battlefields. I have. I've been in rooms full of people throwing punches and knives and everything else. I've been in rooms full of people with guns. I've been in some situations. I've been in some battles. And I was blessed to come out the other side of it, man. On many occasions. And it made me stronger as a result. And you can't test the sword without that sometimes. And that's what we are. We're God's swords, man. And but anyway, back to what I was saying. In lockup, one of the main reasons that I believe, okay, that God's so thick, His presence so thick in there, and it's thick on the battlefield, and it's thick in these places where like suffering and shit is going on. Odie, go lay down, please. Thank you, buddy. And I think that's because of a couple of different reasons. But in jail, well, the battlefield, all of that. And all of them, in them types of situations right there, there's one thing that we do have in common. When a soldier's on the battlefield, okay, he ain't got his old lady with him. He ain't got his kids with him. He ain't eating the type of food he wants to eat all the time. He ain't comfortable majority of the fucking time. When you're in jail, same thing. You're not comfortable. You don't have your loved ones. You don't have the food and the creature comforts of home. The shit we take for granted every day in our lives. Okay? But when we're in jail, when we're on the battlefield, we're fasting. It's the same reason God loves children. Is because, yeah, they're innocent. There's 1,000 reasons you can say to that, and they're all true too. But one of the most important ones, I think, is because who the fuck appreciates God's creation like a child? A child's excited about every new food. And the old ones. Some of them. They're excited to play in the fucking grass and play around with the bugs, and it's all new. It's all exciting. They love it. Nobody enjoys life like a fucking child. You know what I mean? A child don't have to have shit, but make a toy out of a cardboard box in their imagination. God loves that. God loves motherfuckers appreciating his creations. And in jail, because of fasting, because of us going without, fuck, you get a cookie you ain't expecting in jail, and it's a good day. All of a sudden, I'm excited about something that's seemingly so small in God's huge abundance of fucking creations. But nonetheless, that's when God hears you. That's when God feels you. When you're getting excited about life again. That's when he notices you. That's when he starts to speak through you. It's when other people hear it. It's when other people feel it. Okay? The more you're able to quiet this down, the more you take your ego out of the equation, the more you quit seeing shit as separate. The government, or at least certain ones, I think, certain motherfuckers in certain churches, a lot of these powerful, higher up people around the world in secret societies and things like that, I think they understand. That's why they try to fucking create separation, man. Because they not look at the fucking dictionaries. It creates separation. For every one thing, you got something else that's the opposite of it. We got classes. Upper class, middle class, lower class. All this shit is to create separation. Because separate, we're weaker and easier to control. We're less powerful. We're less connected to God. But the more you quiet that shit down, and you realize it all comes from the same source, and you respect it as such, it's not an easy fucking thing to do. It's not nothing I've always done. I'll tell you that right now. I've been violent in my life. I've been down some shit roads, man. I don't make no excuses. I was a fucking con. I didn't have anything. Nothing. And I didn't care. Wasn't disappointing nobody. I was an adrenaline addict, and I was in a place where you make a hell of a reputation, you get a lot of respect, and all that shit that don't matter. You know what I mean? It does and it don't. You know, there's a lot of things I learned in there. There's a lot of things I'm going to pass on to my kids that hopefully they can learn through that and they ain't got to go through that shit. But anyway, I'm getting off track again. Fasting, man. We need to fast in our lives. That don't just mean from food. That's good too. Shit starts tasting bland to you. You're getting bored with it. You eat just to eat. You don't appreciate it no more. You're eating too much, shit like that. It's good to fast every now and then. I do it every year leading up to New Year's. It's just something I've come up with over the years that I like to do. And for 3 days leading up to New Year's, I don't eat. I drink water. On most years, I don't drink coffee. I don't partake in alcohol, sex, anything on most years. Usually, not every year do I fast from all of that, but on most years I do. I always fast from food. And I'm going to tell you, at the end of that, man, I could eat a stale ass cracker and it's going to taste great. So guess what? I'm starting that new year. Quick, okay? I'm starting that new year appreciating food in a healthy way and giving God credit for it when I take that first bite and trying to remember that for the rest of the year. And it's the same thing from anything else. Like if I choose not to be with my woman leading up to that for 3 days or whatever, and then all of a sudden I'm with her, oh, it's awesome again. It's the same thing with people coming out of jail, man. They get out, that first bite of food's the best shit they ever had in their life. First time they lay with their woman, it's like the first time, but better. You know what I mean? And it don't take long for it to grow stale again. because we don't stay appreciative. That's why you need to fast. Take a little vacation from your people every now and then, from your family, from your friends. And then guess what? You're going to appreciate them even more when you get back. And hopefully you don't take the same kind of vacations I've been taking my whole damn life, going to gym, prison, so on and so forth. Because they ain't always going to be there when you get back. But you appreciate them then too. But you ain't got to do it like that. So, yeah, fast, man. And don't go off of faith. Faith is fine. It's good to have faith. If you already believe in something, it's even easier to have faith. So if you don't, pay attention. And if you don't want to believe in God and stuff, that's fine. Study science. That's fine. Down to the smallest little molecules. All the way back up the food chain. And tell me that shit don't look like a design. Tell me that shit was a fluke or an accident. You might say it. You might come up with all kinds of crazy concepts to try to make yourself believe it. But I don't think you do. Not deep down. So that's my theory. It goes deeper on a lot of things. And I'm by no means, no perfect cat or got a full 100% understanding of everything. But I think these are little nuggets that have been bestowed upon me and been blessed upon me. And take with it what you will. But I hope you were inspired by some piece of it. And there'll be more down the road. Okay, Odie, I'm sorry, but I didn't mean to make you go bye-bye, Bubby. This is God right here. This is God right here. Use God. We's all God. We're all part of the same thing working itself out. Now let's act like it. With that, peace out. And if this gets any kind of hits, and maybe even if it don't, I'll probably put some other stuff out there. And it'll be different stuff. Anything I can inspire or motivate or come on, Bubby. I'm wounded. You pressing against it, buddy. Come on. But yeah, so till we meet again, friends. Peace.